Okay. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. How are you today?
Good.
Alhamdulillah.
Okay, I hope all of you are still feeling good this evening. Today, I'm Auni Nabilah with my partner Iman will be the person in charge of presenting and explaining the comparisons between four Muslim scholars' perspective on education and schooling. Are you ready?
Yes.
Yes, Auni.
Okay, next slide please. Next. Next. Okay, then let's get started by looking at this Quranic verse first. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Yarfa'il ladhina amanu minkum walladhina utul ilma darajat wallahu bima ta'maluna khabir. Okay, Allah will raise those who have believed among you and those who were given knowledge by degrees, and Allah is acquainted with what you do. From this verse, Allah clearly mentions Allah will raise the degrees and position for persons who seeks knowledge because of only Him. So we as a Muslim students, we must always tajrid our niat in seeking the knowledge. Next slide. Okay, next we go through straight away into comparison between four Muslim scholars' perspective on education and schooling. Al-Hasan al-Basri rahimahullah said, whoever learns something in the name of Allah, seeking that which is with him, he will win. And whoever learns something for other than Allah, he will not reach the goal, nor will his acquired knowledge bring him closer to Allah. Related by Ibn Jawzi. Okay. Among Muslim scholars involved in this perspective on education and schooling, including Ibn Khaldun, Al-Farabi, Ibn Sina, and Al-Ghazali. Okay, these are the pictures of Muslim scholars. Okay, perspective and education, according to Ibn Sina, education is to build a better human through integrated education, covering morality, religion, mental, and emotional strength. He emphasized on the level of education below 10 years. This level is very important due to a reason before the child is exposed to external values which may be bad and they are still unable to distinguish between good and bad things. Hence, moral education is essential and the basis of life in the early stages for building a good character. Al-Ghazali's philosophy of education represents the high point of Islamic thinking on education, inclination towards reconciliation and the integration of various intellectual schools is apparent. Okay, true learning is that which affects behavior and whereby the learners makes this knowledge, makes practical use of his knowledge. Next, Ibn Khaldun. Regarding to Ibn Khaldun's interpretation, education as a social process in terms of its overall essence, content, function, and objectives to the extent that this process cannot be separated from the society. Meanwhile, Al-Farabi views education is one of the most important social phenomena, deals with the human soul, and ensures that the individual is being prepared from an early age to become a beneficial member of the society. Indeed, the whole activity of education can be briefed up as the acquisition of knowledge, values, and practical skills in a particular period and culture. And both the perspective from Ibn Khaldun and Al-Farabi view the case of education and children's upbringing from a social thinker's perspective. That's all from me. Thank you. Is there any question?
No, Auni.
Okay.
Okay, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Iman Binti Shafie, and I will continue comparison between four Muslim scholars in terms of schooling. The first one is Ibn Sina. Ibn Sina or Avicenna emphasized on group education and believed that children should receive education and training along with their peers. So we can say that Ibn Sina emphasized that the way of learning is in group, where student learns with their friend in terms of thinking and understanding of knowledge. So group activity can indirectly train them to communicate well and make them as they can exchange opinion and views among their friends. The next is Al-Ghazali. Al-Ghazali said need to pay attention to individual difference in the selection of learning material and the knowledge to be taught. We can also see that Al-Farabi, the method of teaching appropriate to level of learner according to the common class or the elite. The views of Al-Ghazali and Al-Farabi are the same, where teachers need to approach the student themselves and teach them based on their level and standard of understanding and thinking. For the last scholars is Ibn Khaldun. Ibn Khaldun emphasized on the teacher-learner content bond as a reaction to the nature of humanity. Ibn Khaldun seeks to set the basic of teaching and learning by emphasizing the teacher-learner content bond as a reaction to nature of humanity, which is always eager to learn and obtain knowledge so as to achieve civilization and constructional change as precondition for effective teaching and learning. So in brief, Ibn Khaldun classified education and children upbringing into three different types: the psychological information, the historical information, and the last one is the practical instruction. So that's all from me. Anything to ask?
Iman,
Yes.
I think you left Al-Farabi perspective.
Oh, for Al-Farabi and Al-Ghazali, for me, is same with the Al-Ghazali perspective. Teachers need to approach student or learners and pay attention to student, to every student. Uh, did you understand me? Okay, that's all from me. Thank you.
Okay, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. My name is Fadhilah. Okay, just now we hear to the explanation about the Islamic scholars. Now we move to the Western theories. Okay, next. Okay, I put three theories. The first one is conflict theory, and then the functionalist theory, and also postmodernist view or modernist theory. So let's know who is the pioneers for every theory. For conflict theory, we have Max Weber. He is known as the founding father of sociology. And for functionalist theory, is Emil Durkheim. He is formally established the academic discipline of sociology. And for postmodernist view, is Jean Francois Lyotard. He is also known as a writer in many range of philosophy, politics, and so on. Okay, now we move. Now we move to the concept of all this theory. For conflict theory, it focuses on roles school may play in implementing social control. The social control here refers to the behavior societal that regulate the individual to conformity and compliance to the rules given in the society or school. This theory also states that education function as to fill the needs of economy that are as the basis to the human beings. And also the education based on this theory state that education is an agent to teach about the cultures to the certain groups in the human being. and also the conflict theories assumption that society is a complex characterized by inequality and conflicts that generate social change. It means that this theory only focus on the social things only, whether they are rich or not. They only give the elite person more control and more access to the education rather than the poor person. And for the functionalist theory, it focuses on every school unit play a role in the total system and are dependent on each other eh, on each other for survival. This theory are giving the same education to the human beings as long as they have the interest to learn, and also the student teach based on value of the human beings and also by their own desires. Um, and based on this theory also, uh, the assumption that a society is a complex system which works together to promote stability. This means every person in the education system needs to rely on each other in order to create a better schooling and education environment. And lastly, for the postmodernist view, the concept for postmodernist view is this theory call for a different type of education system that encourage self-motivation, self-supervision, and also creativity. This theory are really suitable to the situation we are facing right now because we are facing many problems, many works to do. So the self-motivation are needed to be instilled to be part of the students to be more encouraged to seek knowledge. And also this theory is like a lifelong learning and also lifelong training so that the student can be more ready and can adapt to the changes in their life situation in the future. Uh, based on Lyotard, he said that living in 20th century are really different to before because the world become more globalized and more modern. So using the Max Weber and Emil theories is no longer suitable to the situation nowadays. So what I can say that this all of these theories, what I can say that these postmodernist theories give students more student and teachers be more creative and innovative to and give them chance and opportunity to be stand out in front of other person. Okay, I think that's all. Do you have any question?
No.
No, Fadhilah.
Okay.
Okay, next we move to, my name is Nabilah Afiqah Binti Mohamad Zabidi. Okay, next after we hear the concept of these three theories, now I will explain the example for each theory. In this part, I give two examples for each theory, which are from teacher side and student sides. Okay, the example for conflict theory, teachers, they need to perform administrative duties and at the same time they must also perform teaching duties. While in terms of student perspective, they need to get an excellent result due to pressure from parents who want their child to succeed. So, in this situation, the conflict arises because the child need to review lesson often and reduce play session. So the conflict happen. Next, in the functionalist theory, the example from student is students, they are depending 100% on teacher to acquire knowledge, while teachers also, they rely on the curriculum that they will apply in the teaching process 100% also. Okay, next, in the postmodernist view, teachers, they use a variety of teaching approaches to deliver lessons creatively. Like uh, they in a modern way. Okay, next from students' perspective, the example is they try to explore new things by their own. Okay, next we move to the advantage of these three theory. First, conflict theory. It helps students and teachers to improve themselves because this theory forces them to do so. Like we can look at the example. Students they get pressure from parents to study and play. So then uh, they choose to study as they want to get an excellent result. Okay, next functionalist theory. The advantage is teachers need to help teachers to monitor student easily because student and teacher they need to work together in the teaching and learning process. Next, in the postmodernist view, which is the most which is the theory that I like, the advantage is it helps students and teachers to think creatively. I think this view, this theory, really sweet for us in this modern era. Okay, that's all from me. You have any question?
It means you prefer the postmodernist view other than functionalist and conflict theories?
Yes, because I think postmodernist view um, want we to be an independent teachers and student. Okay, that's all from me.
Okay, now we move to the disadvantage of the all of these theories. The first one is the conflict theories. What is the advantage for me is this theory are to bias toward a high level person. For example, when the student um, as we know that student need to learn and need to be hardworking. If the student have no money or have no financial support, they need to have they need to neglect their study because they have no money to buy books or something like that. That's why this theory are to be to a high level because the high level person have more money and have more advantage in the study. Okay, the second one is the functionalist theory. For me, every student and teachers both need to give extra effort in everything they do. It is because the student and teachers need to rely on each other and helping each other, right? So the teachers need to be excellent in everything, and also the student need to give full commitment in schooling. That's why this theory are giving more burden to the student and teachers. For example, if the teachers are sick or cannot perform, they cannot give commitment, then how the student got the excellent marks if the student lost the big source, which is the teacher itself. And also for the postmodernist view, for me, it neglects the person who are a bit slow in terms of learning. As we know, the postmodernist view allows students to be more creative and be more innovative, right? So, uh, for the student who are a bit slow, he will be left behind because they did not have the ability to think creatively and innovatively. Okay, I think that's all from me. Do you have any question?
Yes.
Yes, okay.
So the difference between postmodernist view and functionalist theory, postmodernist view is like independent learning method, and functionalist theory is more to dependent on each other. Is that true?
Functionalist theory is more like rely to each other. We need each other to study. The
Okay.
teachers and student need to rely each other. Okay. Okay.
Fadhilah, in this three theory,
Yes.
Which one do you prefer the most?
I think I prefer postmodernist view because it allows students to have their own thinking, to have their own opinion in what they are learning. I think
Okay,
that's
thank
for
you.
me lah. Okay. Okay. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. My name is Natasya Alya. So today I will talk about the comparison between Islamic and Western perspective on education. Firstly, let's look at the objective of education. Okay. Objective of Muslim education is based on the First World Conference on Muslim Education in the 1977, which stated that the education should aim at the balanced growth of the total personality of men through the training of men's spirit, intellect, the rational self-feeling, and body senses. Education should therefore cater for the growth of men in all aspects, which are spiritual, intellectual, imaginative, physical, scientific, linguistic, both individually and collectively, and motivate all these aspects toward goodness and the attainment of perfection. In Islam, the philosophy of education is designed to train and guide humans to meet the maximum requirement of Allah service in this world and in the hereafter. It target is to coordinate the entire life with religion and to strengthen the divine relationship between man and creator. However, next, however, in a Western perspective, John Dewey says that education is focusing on producing good citizens, economic and political development, producing human resources who will work hard for the development for the country. For him, education is the fundamental method of social progress uh, and reform since society can formulate its own purpose through education and can organize its own means and resources, thereby shaping itself with definitiveness and moving its economy in the direction it desires. Okay. Okay, next we move to the differences between Islamic and Western perspective on education. In Islam, education focus on spiritual and materialism, which means education in Islam is balanced. However, it contradicts to Western education. They only focus on materialism. It is a complete secular system that differentiated life and religion. Next, the main source of Islamic education is based on um, Quran and Hadith. Like Rasulullah said, um, An Malik anna Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam qala taraktu fikum amrayni lan tadillu ma tamassaktum bihima kitabullah wa sunnatun nabi. Rasulullah said, I have left you with two matters which will never lead you astray. So, as long as you hold to them, which are the Book of Allah, Al Quran, and the Sunnah of His Prophet. However, in Western, the main source in this type of education is largely depend on human ability to reason. Um, uh, Human ability to reason, human psychological thinking, mere observation, experimentation, and examination through theories and practice. Okay. Uh, Next, in Islam,
Islamic education, they connect whole life approach and signifies complete integration into man's life, which means education in Islamic perspective is shumuliyah, which means complete or perfect. All the teaching of Islamic encompasses all the aspects of life in this world and the hereafter. It balances the growth of man in all aspects, like what I see in the objective of education in Islamic perspective. Okay. Uh, However, in Western perspective, it absence of the spiritual domain, lack of spiritual. This happened because, like what I said before, they completely differentiated between life and religion. They does not consider the relationship between God and human as socially or intellectually relevant. Relevant. Okay. Lastly, uh, last point. Okay. In Islam, education as a means of molding the good character of individuals so that they can collectively represent Islamic values and behave as vicegerent of Allah on the earth. Okay. This education shall not only strive for the harmony of thought and action, instinct and reason, feeling and emotion, but also for deep of knowledge uh, and beauty of character. Okay. The primary mission in this system of education is to produce successful individuals, family, and society, which is fully subservient to Allah. Okay. While in Western perspective, they see education as the instrument of life and believe education as means of individual and national development. This secular system consider education as an engine of development. They see education. Okay, never mind. Okay, it also viewed education as an element of continuous human existence and well-being. Okay. Okay, next to conclude this discussion, um, we can see that everyone have their own perspective on education, but we as a Muslim, we must follow the right perspective that are in line with our Sharia Islamia. This is what really important to us as a Muslim to choose the right path. Okay, that's all from me. Thank you.
Can I add a little bit on Islamic education?
Tafadhali.
Okay. For me, what we have learned in the class before, methods of Islamic education itself contain two methods. The first one is Islamization. Islamization, how it affects the Islamic education. Islamization of knowledge inculcate or instill Islamic values into the acquired knowledge. And the second one, the second methods of Islamic education is integration of knowledge. Okay, what is integration of knowledge? Integration of knowledge is combination of the best Western thoughts and Islamic thoughts, which following the teachings of the Quran and Sunnah. So we as a Muslim student, we must also follow the methods of Islamic education to improve the quality of education nowadays. Do you agree with me?
Yes, I'm agree. Because when we combine the education system itself will be more effective and uh, can be, can make a good system for all students.
With that, I think that is all from us. So thank you everyone. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Salam.
Waalaikumsalam.